Hello, how are you? Welcome to Trapping the Time. My name is Pablo, and today we're going to review this Casio Edifice, a spectacular watch for its beautiful design and also, of course, for its price. Casio Edifice is the name used by the brand for its analog or analog digital watches for men. The first thing I have to say is that the watch I was looking for, the one I intended to buy, especially after reading the many recommendations from friends of the channel in the comments, was the Casio Marlin. But the usual thing happened to me. I've seen in more than one Mexican video that you can buy it there for just over $50. I can't find it here for less than €100. Specifically, today they asked me for €137 on Amazon, so nothing. Marlins are not fished at those prices in these seas. But in return, I found this other one that I didn't count on at all, but it caught my attention when I seen it. More than anything because it looks like a normal watch. Oh, don't get upset, Casio lovers. What I want to say is that it's very far from the normal or usual Casio aesthetic. It doesn't have resonance, it's not digital, it doesn't have a lot of sub-dials and other indicators in the dial, especially because of the size. I found it almost exceptional that it was only 38mm in diameter, and well, you put that together, and recently I've been looking at the bracelets that I like more and more with different eyes, and that's how this little watch got into my head, and it didn't come out until I had it in my hand. I must say that the price was a decisive factor in this purchase, because although it cost £92 in the Casio online store, it cost me just over £60. It's a three-hand analog quartz watch with a dater. The sphere is a very nice black colour. It's not solid because, depending how the light hits it, it acquires a very cool model shine. At first glance, you're surprised that using cheap materials, they achieve that well-resolved appearance. Seen from the distance that a watch is usually seen, you don't appreciate any differences with others that are much more expensive. But when you get closer and see it in detail, you'll notice some components are not of the quality we're used to. But the appearance is surprising because of how well designed and how well finished it is. The hour markers are applied, they all have the same shape and size except for the one at 12 o'clock, which is a little larger, and the one at 3 a little shorter to accommodate the dater, which is really very well integrated into the dial. Since it's seen in negative, that's to say with a dark background and a light number, it's hardly noticeable that it has it. What doesn't convince me as much is the indices have a luminous paint, but it's of quite a poor quality. The worst I've seen so far, unlike the hands that do glow in the dark. Below the 12, we see the Edifice logo and the motto and the Casio brand. Above the 6, we can see sapphire, water resistant, and 100 meters, all painted white except for the sapphire, which is gold. The sapphire that we're referring to is artificial, as Casio says, although it promises as much hardness and resistance as the natural one. What I'm wondering is if it's different from the others, or everyone uses something similar, but only Casio says so. It's something that I don't know and I'd like to, so if you do, if you know it, please leave it in the comments. The hands are shaped like, I don't know if they're pencils or swords. Well, either way, it's much thicker and it cuts off the time. They're both filled with lumen, and they also have a great dark coloured and double faceted counterweight that suits them very well. The touch of colour is given by the second hand, which is gold that stands out in the sobriety of a dial where black and white prevail, and it gives it a brushstroke of colour, although its advance is the usual one of quartz, and that is 1 pulse per second. I'll bet the hands are the only metal thing on this dial. The bezel is octagonal with a very nice brushed finish. Of course, it's not the brushing of Invicta Pro Diver, but since I say that, I must also say that if in the Pro Diver I didn't find anything that justifies such a cheap price, in this watch that doesn't happen. You quickly see that it's cheap when you have it in your hands. From the initial illusion of a more beautiful piece, you pass a certain disenchantment when you see it. For example, the dial is all plastic, the dial and markers. Another failure is the crown. Its drive has a looseness and a disappointing touch. It seems like a Duke toy crown, but it's also true that for that price you can't ask for much more. Although, here comes my reproach to the brand. Why not make this beautiful watch with quality materials? Of course it would be more expensive, but I, and I think everyone else, would pay 2, 3 or 4 times more if it had the standards we're all used to. But the watch is very cool, really, with an outstanding appearance and finish, but it doesn't stand up to comparison with others because of that defect of the cheap materials. A pity, because this piece deserved more. And I'll continue with the bevel. At the top and the bottom where it approaches the bracelet, it descends at an angle that draws a lip and speaks of a good design with a love for detail. The other 6 faces of the bezel, polished, descend vertically into a box that is barely visible to accommodate those 4 screws that you see, and that, in my opinion, look great. Just like those handles that are so short, so well integrated, the polished profile that runs through the case to the lugs is another quality detail. Shapes and finishes of the bezel, case and bracelet play all the time with the light and give it a presence of a more expensive watch. You cannot believe that for that price they've worked this hard. Also surprising is the mastery with which they've solved the most difficult part of the bracelet, the union of the lugs and the link end. They've achieved this by making the width between the lugs very narrow, where the last link of the bracelet is set like a glove, giving it a quality appearance. I mean, the design detail, not the whole bracelet. Well, this one's very thin, and the weight does seem quite poor. But in this case, I think it should be that way and not just to save costs. If you look at the watch from the side, you'll see that a thicker bracelet just wouldn't suit it, as it's such a super flat watch. I wonder, at just 7.8mm tall. The easy thing would have been to put in a minimalist type bracelet, much thinner, but it's appreciated that the cases have worked hard to give this aspect to the bracelet. I think it's more appropriate, more powerful. The weight of the watch with case and bracelet, since it's 100% stainless steel, is a total of 110 grams. Here's a comparison with my other watches and bracelets, which are not many, but they serve to give you an idea that this Casio Edifice does not have much steel. Although it's built 100% of that metal, but it's also true that it does not need more. It doesn't need it because of its exquisite design. Of course, Casio announces solid steel, and well, it's not hollow, but it's not solid either, okay? The links of the bracelet you see do not have air inside them, but they're not one piece either, they're several folded together. I'm quite sorry that they don't try harder to raise the quality and the price just one notch. In essence, I complain that they are so good at some things, so crappy at others. That the scratch at such a level but leave you with honey in your lips. It's as if not for those small details, this piece would be the pride of its owners, and thus not only a very nice watch, very apparently cheaper than it seems, but also somewhat far from the desirable quality, and its owner knows that, although others don't appreciate it. The measurements of the box are 41.2mm wide, including the crown, 44.8 lug to lug, 39mm long, 7.8mm high, and a width between lugs of 11.5mm, a certainly unusual measurement for its narrowness. Casio does not indicate what calibre it mounts, we only know that it's quartz, and its precision is more or less plus or minus 20 seconds per month. Also noteworthy is the battery life, which is a minimum of 3 years. And if you look at the box from the side, it's so narrow and slim that it looks like a bird in flight. What a magnificent elegance, given by its low height and beautiful design. Even the crown is bigger than the box, and I honestly had never seen that before. The bracelet, due to its light weight, besides being well resolved, is precious. I really like that it gets narrower as it goes down, another welcome design detail. The truth is that you cannot do more with less, nothing to blame Casio for in that. They scratch at an exceptional height in what means to take advantage of the materials they use. The closure of the bracelet is by pressure, and to release it, there are loops on the sides. When it's unfolded, you see how thin it is. It's almost scary that it will bend. It has micro perforations to allow adjustment to any wrist. The cover of the watch is also made of steel. The large central circle is brushed and has different legends of the watch engraved on it, and has the logo of the brand printed on it. All in all, I will say that I think it's a very nice watch, and if you forgive that it appears to be more than it is, you have in your hands a watch that is not only beautiful but functional. It keeps time wonderful. It's submersible to 100 meters. It's made of 100% steel, super comfortable. You don't notice that you're wearing it because of how little it weighs and how well it adapts to your wrist. Plus, its unusual height, less than 8mm, makes it easy to hide under any buttoned up shirt cuff. On top of that, it's gorgeous. What more can you ask for at that price? And the answer is, for that price, you can't ask for anything more. On the contrary, you can freak out with some of the finishing details of this piece, of a much higher level than what it costs. My complaint, I've already said before, is that the quality of materials doesn't rise. What would this watch look like with the standard of materials we're used to, is the question that keeps coming back to me. How much Casio's wonderful design team could achieve if they had other wickers for this basket. And that's it for today. We hope you liked the video, or the clock, or both, of course, which would be better. If so, like, subscribe, participate in the comments, and activate the bell. Special thanks to those who help in your comments to create this community that's getting bigger and bigger. And the truth is that we can't believe it even now. It's still sinking in. Thank you for making this dream possible. And that's it for today. Thank you very much as always for being there. And if you want to, see you in the next video. See you soon.